year. We just recently had a poll come out that showed favorability and unfavorability for our North Carolina General Assembly, as well as some key issues that our General Assembly is considering. Good morning, Dr. Fernandez.
Oh, here we go.
Good morning, Dr. Fernandez.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Tell us a little bit about the Elon poll.
Well, the Elon University poll has been conducting survey research in North Carolina for almost 13 years now. We basically take a random sample using landlines and cell phones to basically gauge how both citizens, registered voters, entering elections, likely voters, think about candidates and certain issues.
Great. And what your recent poll that you did had some favorability, unfavorability for the General Assembly, our governor. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you found in that poll?
Sure. Even after an election, we still want to know sort of how the public gauges certain candidates and public officials, partly because it'd be nice to see sort of a progress report on these individuals, but also many of these individuals may be running for re-election, and so I think a lot of individuals are interested to see maybe what their chances look like in the future. We basically found that the governor's support seemed to tick up a bit, and that's not surprising as we had sort of just passed 100 days of McCrory's first term. You saw people sort of getting to know him, and we saw a slight increase. You still had a core group of Democrats that were just not going to approve of his performance, but generally saw about 46% of the population in North Carolina supporting the job that McCrory was doing, and still about 25% saying they disapproved. And the number of people that were saying that they were unsure were starting to shrink as more information is sort of seeping into the media and people were getting to know this governor.
You know, people always ask me, I don't ever get called for these polls. So how do you choose your sample for your polling?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, people are amazed that, from a sample of about 1,000, you can make some type of judgment about a very large state that's approaching 10 million individuals. But if you look at sort of the success of polling in the 2012 election, you saw many polls that even had less than 1,000 we're really getting very accurate results because it's this sort of magic of random sampling. When you randomly select 1,000 individuals, you get a pretty good sense of what the rest of the population does. And so we have, for the landline numbers, you basically get information from the area code, the first three prefix numbers. The last two are randomly digitally created, and so in some cases we get bad numbers. That number doesn't actually exist, so we have to call a lot of numbers. Sometimes we get businesses, but you have to call a lot of numbers to make sure you get 1,000 individuals that are randomly selected. For the cell phones, it's a bit more complicated. Basically, we deal with a company that accesses numbers from all the major carriers and then does a random selection of those. Again, some of those start to no longer be in service, so it takes a long time to get a hold of people, but we try our best. We call people up to 5 times so that we get a representative sample, and we were pretty close in the 2012 election.
Ken, we're going to have you back on in a couple of weeks so we can keep talking about polling. Unfortunately, my time just got away from me this morning with all my questions. So we appreciate the Elon poll, and we appreciate you being on this morning, and we'll talk to you again soon in a couple of weeks.
All right. Well, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Well, that's going to wrap up our show for today. You can go to plaintalkpolitics.com and get a daily report on everything you want to know and maybe things you don't want to know that are happening with our North Carolina General Assembly. And you can also listen to this show on that website. Next Wednesday morning on Power 750 AM, we'll have former Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Bob Etheridge and Representative Charles Jeter from the North Carolina General Assembly talking about public education. That's a show you will not want to miss, and so we look forward to being with you again next Wednesday. Have a great day.
Very good. Perfect.
Yay!
Let it out.
I had a couple of seconds.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good time. That's about what I